All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our e-Academy session for today. It is Modernizing Grants and Subaward Management. We are joined by Sphere MC. We have Randy Johnson and Jessica Mann here. Thank you so much for joining us and presenting for us today. Before we begin, I just want to give a few housekeeping notes. Everyone's on mute right now, so we can hear our speakers without any background noise. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those at any time in our Q&A feature that is located in your Zoom dashboard. We have a very full session for you today, so we may not have time for questions. Randy and Jessica will touch on that. They will have another opportunity for Q&A after this call, so I'll let them share more details on that. But with that, I would like to pass the floor over to Randy and Jessica.
Great. Thanks, Tisha. And welcome everybody to the webinar. So excited to have you all here today. My name is Jessica Mann from Sphere MC, Managing Director, and I've been working with PeopleSoft for a very long time, and really specifically for around the grants management area. I've been focusing on that for the last 22 years, and co-presenting with Randy Johnson, who has also been working with PeopleSoft for a very long time. Okay. So, all right, here is our agenda today. This is a big topic, and to be perfectly honest, any one of these agenda items here could be just a 1-hour presentation by themselves. I did a grants demo this morning just on the pre-award side of things, and that was an hour. So before I forget, I want to let you guys know that we are very, very happy to do a private demo to get into further details and allow you to your organization to get together and ask additional questions. So if you want to do a grants demo or any of these other modules that we'll be covering today, we are always very, very happy to do that. It's fun. We enjoy it. Okay, so we are going to be walking through an end-to-end example, both on the grantee side of things, so going after and receiving an award, as well as the grantor side of things. So when you as an organization have a need to issue a subaward or a subcontract to give a portion of the award out to another external organization, that's what we're going to be walking through today. And that, why you need to do that, there could be various reasons. It could be capacity, lack of resources, not having the specific expertise, why you do that subaward, but we want to walk through how that process can be fully automated within PeopleSoft, within the PeopleSoft system. So first, we're going to start with that high-level overview of the end-to-end process. Then we're going to start sort of at the end of the process. We're going to start with reporting, taking a look at what you can get on the reporting side of things, the data that will be stored in the system. And then we're going to jump in back to our detailed example, starting in pre-award with a proposal, taking that over to the post-award side with generating award. And then I'm going to hand it over to Randy, who will walk through the subaward piece of it using the procure to pay modules. We will be in strategic sourcing, we will be in purchasing, we will be in supplier contracts, and we will also be in e-settlements, where we'll have our subrecipient upload an invoice for approval and processing. Once we have that voucher or that supplier invoice approved, we will go into creating the voucher and a payment, and then really the rest of the typical post-award processing for grants, collecting that expense into our project, creating indirect overhead, running billing and revenue, and lastly, sending those invoices to AR. Okay, and also I wanted to point out that this demo presentation is on the PeopleSoft solution. Similar concepts over on the Oracle Cloud side, and we're going to be working on a separate webinar for that. Okay, all righty. So because this is such a full agenda, we would like to host a separate Q&A session so we can regroup and go through all of your questions. And that's going to be 1 week from today, same time. And we will be sending out an email with that invitation to sign up for that additional Q&A session. Please, like Tesha mentioned, please enter your questions in the Q&A. But if you think of anything after, feel free to email us before the session as well. Okay, so if you are a PeopleSoft user today, running PeopleSoft, you are probably familiar with SpearMC, but I wanted to let you guys know the very exciting news, if you haven't heard it yet, that SpearMC is now a part of Mythics. So Mythics acquired both SpearMC and Smart ERP, and together we really are your one-stop shop for all of your Oracle and PeopleSoft needs, from licensing to implementation, managed services, training. We say yes. So please, we would be happy to help you with any of your Oracle software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, or on-premise needs. From a PeopleSoft perspective, here is our list of products and services. So I mentioned already managed services. We have some of the top PeopleSoft experts can help from consulting across the pillars, whether it's new modules, assistance with updates, optimization, or even change of account redesign. I've been working on a couple of those projects recently, can help you across the pillars. We are all about training and have a ton of offerings there, whether it's our all access learning pass 24/7 subscription training offering, or our live private trainings for your organization that can be tailored to the content that you're looking for, or our public training classes that are posted on our website, as well as Oracle guided learning. We are the sole PeopleSoft provider for Oracle guided learning. And we also have some of our own specific PeopleSoft products. I'll mention just a couple of ones that are very near and dear to our hearts, me and Randy. So we have segregation of duties. We have our grants labor cost distribution and effort reporting solution, as well as our PTF testing grounds and others. And then lastly, we have the ability to help on your cloud journey, whether that is PeopleSoft to cloud migration or lift and shift to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure training. We're also expanding our Oracle Cloud training offerings there. So lots of opportunities. If you have any needs, please reach out. Okay, and just once again, all of our public training classes are published on our website. Here's the QR code here. All right, let's jump into the topic of grantee and grantor processing, starting with an overview of grants management. Some of you may not be using grants today, so wanted to just give you a high-level overview of grants, which is not just a standalone module. It is a suite of modules that are designed to support the key business processes associated with the administration of sponsored research or sponsored programs. So with this functionality, we have the ability to enter and track our proposals, track the submission status. There's a little mini module within grants for tracking IACUC and IRB approvals, ability to track your award negotiations. And then once you receive the award, we have the ability to manage our funding, our project, our award, and our budget. Bottom left hand, facilities and administration, or otherwise known as F&A, that is PeopleSoft's terminology for indirect overhead processing, a very robust process to create create your indirect overhead. So that is specific with the grants management module. And then through the integration of the other modules, we can create an invoice to bill our sponsor. There is letter of credit specific processing for grants for those that do drawdowns. And then once we send those invoices to AR, we can track what is owed from our sponsor, various types of reporting, one of which is the new insights I'll show you today. And then at the tail end of the business process, we can close out our award slowly and eventually a hard stop to make sure no additional transactions hit our grant. And there are a few delivered workflows related to grants as well. Okay, this is a high-level overview of what the integration might look like. The boxes in blue are all required for the grants solution, and each have their own purpose. So we have on the top, the grants module is where we're going to be entering our proposals, trading our awards. Projects box over here, project costing, is going to store all the detailed transactions related to our grant. This customer contracts box over here, this module is responsible for automating your billing and revenue recognition, storing all of those rules. When we send that invoice over to billing, we can create a PDF. Optionally, we can email that invoice to our sponsors and then send that invoice over to receivables to age. Okay, and actually, I think at this point, I'm going to turn off my camera and turn it over to Randy to talk about the subaward side of things.
Sure. So this is the beauty of the subaward process as it relates to sponsored award over on the grant side. Is essentially what we're doing is an entire procured to pay business process. Where we are able to still integrate all of the information that are project related to our grants, but we can use the PeopleSoft procure to pay modules to start to work with our sub recipients, and we can create our RFPs in strategic sourcing. We can invite them to bid. We can make it public, wide open, or we can invite specific sub-awardees. And when I talk about sub-awardees or sub-recipients in PeopleSoft, they're vendors, okay? We set up as vendors, and I'm just using the word sub-recipient because it's logical for our process here. But when we start talking about what they're doing, they're really working within the confines of being a supplier in the system, which includes using the supplier portal. You'll see all about that here in a second. So we'll create an RFP in strategic sourcing. We'll evaluate it, award it. It will get awarded to, this is very important, I'll probably stress it too many times, it'll get awarded to a procurement contract. That's sort of the vessel that ties everything together. That's where we're going to code the procurement contract to the subaward project that set up that are associated with the original sponsor award. We turn that is you get with your subrecipient. That's done in the supplier contracts management module. And then when that's all done, turn that contract into one or more purchase orders. Once that's done, our subrecipients can acknowledge the PO, right? They can participate in the process of the redlining in the, and you're going to see this in the supplier portal. They'll acknowledge the PO, and at that point in time, as they begin doing their work, whatever it is that's agreed to as the subaward, they'll be able to do self-service payment requests. And as the work is done, completed, and documented, they can do those payment requests. Once approved, it flips back to Jeff's side, where it's just like any other pay associated with that project grant. It goes in.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, we are going to be looking at image 53 in this demo and the videos. I'm starting with the new Grants Insight dashboard. Okay. All right, so this is the Grants Fluid homepage. I'm going into the new award portal to give you a sense of what this dashboard looks like after we've incurred some transactions against our award. I had some defaults coming in, but then I opened it up so we can see a little bit more data here. So I have 29 active awards. I see the types of the sponsors by each award. Now I'm looking at the award list. For these 29 awards, I'm seeing high-level financial information, the direct costs, the indirect costs, my pre-encumbrances and my POs out there. Now I can see the breakdown of the types of costs and suppliers, as well as award summary by award period. I can see indirect information, what departments are attracting overhead. And then as I scroll down, I have milestone information, both my milestones becoming due soon, as well as completed milestones. And this is coming from the award side of things. You define what type of milestones you want to track, or due dates, really any type of due dates you want to track. Rainey's going to show some of the milestones over on the subaward side of things, but you have lots of flexibility of how you want to define them. We can even see information about our future awards coming in, so awards starting in the future, and open proposal information. So both the counts and the dollar amounts. And if I wanted to, I can even narrow it down using the filters, or by just clicking into me as Ken Schumacher, I can narrow it back down just to my open awards. I have 6, and oh, here, historic preservation grant. This is the story that we're going to be walking through today. I see it's $1 million over a multi-year period. I can see my high-level financials. I've posted 500,000, so I'm in the first year of the grant, and I actually have 3 different projects that I set up for this award, because in the end, I'm going to issue 2 sub-awards. And here's the suppliers. We have Mitten and we have Eastern Bay. Yes, we probably should have set up some other vendors. We used something in the system, but those are going to be our subrecipients. I can also see my billing by project, which I already ran the billing, and we'll see that. And here we go. We jumped into the award. So just a little peek into the type of information you can see on your awards after the fact. But let's go now back into the very beginning of the business process, which starts at a proposal. So this is grantee side of things. In the grants module, we are going to be entering a proposal, and then ultimately in the same recording, I'm going to generate the award as well. So on the proposal, lots of different ways we can enter this information. I'm just starting from scratch, creating a new proposal. We could have copied from a template, copied from an existing proposal. And there's a key number of information that you need to enter, fields, those ones with the asterisk. So in order to say we do have to enter a key amount, I've created my periods, and man, this moves fast, but I'm not going to stop. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of information here, the indirect rate and the type of default contract. Now that I've entered that, I can go ahead and start building out my proposal budget, and it will know, do I need to calculate indirect overhead on any of these budget items? How granular of your budget, how you want to break it down, very flexible, lots of different options. Even the budget periods, they do not have to be 1 year. They can be multi-year, they could be less than a year, and your budget items could be very high-level summary, or they could be very, very granular down to the employee. Okay, so I got my first year budgets entered. Once again, I'm going to enter my next year. I entered a modified total direct cost base for this proposal. So you'll see in the middle, it's automatically calculating my sponsor indirect, which is applicable for the first 3 items. But the last one is, let's see. Oh yeah, subcontracts. So here, anything over 25K doesn't incur indirect costs based on a configuration. So it didn't tack it on there. I can optionally add keywords to my proposal. And I can also upload attachments. Okay, if you'd like to, on a proposal, we can, oh yeah, it doesn't actually show everything in the video, but ultimately in the end, you can see we've uploaded an attachment. Now, let's say we're happy with that. We can now go ahead and mark that in a submitted status, indicating that it's gone out to the sponsor, and that will lock it down for changes until we hear back. So I've marked it in the work center as submitted. I could do multiple at the same time. And if it's been awarded, same page, I can go ahead and generate my award, which I did right there. That process will take the majority of that proposal information, bring it over to the award. See, so now I'm at the post-award side. It brought over my funding. I have not yet posted it yet. I could still make changes. I have the ability to enter terms and conditions, which are configurable by you. I get a notepad marking, key comments and when the award was generated. Milestones, this is cool. We have on our Fluid homepage a tile for indicating the milestones becoming due. When I enter in my due dates, notice if I go back, it will dynamically be updated. So from 6, refreshing, now I have 8 milestones that are becoming due in either the 31 to 60, 61 to 90. Some are already overdue that need some attention. On the funding inquiry page gives us a nice summary of what is our billing limit, what is the budget posted, and what do we expect to receive over the multiple years. Alrighty, that was the longest video. Made it through, and now we are going, oh, I missed one page. I wanted to show you just here. This subrecipient page has been around forever within PeopleSoft. We can indicate which one of our suppliers are subrecipients, so then we can associate it to both our proposal or on the award side of things. And Randy's he mentioned that already. These subrecipients are suppliers or vendors. So let's start by talking about the RFP process.
Perfect. Yeah, so congratulations, Jessica, on getting the award. We're now at a point where we know we need to create some sub-awards. There's a chunk of work that we're going to ask some sub-recipients to perform for us, and we're going to create 2. We're going to create one that is time and materials based, and another that's milestone based. And so we fly through it just like Jessica's previous demo, showing you how we go through the steps within the strategic sourcing module to create an RFP and invite those subrecipients that we want to participate in the RFP response. So here I am in the employee portal, and my videos aren't nearly as slick as Jessica's. You can see a lot of fumbling at the beginning. Eventually, I'm going to navigate to the pages that I need to get to, which is I'm going to create in strategic sourcing a new event. Okay. And in my case, I'm going to copy it from a template. You might be creating from scratch, which means you have to build everything, every line, every bid factor, every percentage weighting. That's fine. The dates here, when does it open and when does it end? You would probably never have a 1-day response time, but I did that for demonstration purposes. Here we're going to copy it from a template that we've created that already has the lines that we're asking the bidders to respond to and the bid factors and weightings. So we're saying, hey, we need initial fees and secondary fees. These are going to be X number of hours at what we think is a starting point rate, our starting price, $250 an hour. That's what we're going to ask you to bid on. And then there's bid factors on each line. Okay. What's the price? We see that. Who is it? Are there expenses? How many relevant years of experience? And again, I think we asked the rate. I don't know why we asked that so darn many times, but we do. Okay. We've got those because they came in from the template. Once we have those, we're able to pick who we want to respond to the event. So here's our bidder invitations up. You can't see it quite super fast, but public events, if we click that, it means it's going to be published as a public event. Anybody could come out and see that event and bid on it. In our case, we left it non-selected, which means only those 2 bidders that we had pre-selected were going to be sent an invitation to bid. I'm hitting post. As soon as I hit post, if my date, the start date for this process is within the range, it's going to be open and available for our sub-recipients to respond to this RFP. And they're going to have as many days as you give them to the end of the RFP session until it gets awarded. All right. So that was a super fast process. We didn't show you the recording of the other RFP that we set up. The other RFP that we set up is for Milestone. That one was the time and materials. Okay. Let's go next. So our sub-recipients are suppliers, and they're going to go into the strategic sourcing module has functions and features within the supplier portal. The module is known as e-supplier connection. I don't know why, but that's the supplier portal, and they'll be able to log in, and with the appropriate user security, they'll be able to see that they have awards that bids, opportunities that they've been asked to bid on. And so that's what we're going to see here is one of those users is logging in. They're going to go into the secure homepage, and they're going to see they've got 2 opportunities out there that they're being asked to bid on. They're going to say, yep, I think I want to accept this invitation, and I'm going to start the bidding process now. Let me put my responses in. There's a couple of different steps along the way. I have to do each of the header information and lines. And if you remember those bid factors, they're going to pop up as questions here where I have to answer those for each line. And those are going to get the weightings that'll help me as a user that's doing the RFP evaluate the responses from our different bidders. Okay, so I hit submit. I get 2 dire warnings. Are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah. Are you really sure? Yes, I'm sure. Good. Now I've got that one. I'm going to move on. Here's the milestone. This is the milestone-based bidding. Yep, I want to respond to that too. Here I go. Here's my price for each milestone. If there's attachments, I could have gone out and looked at those attachments, looked at the comments. I know the situation. I know what I need. So I'm submitting my bid for those 4. I actually think I log on as the other supplier too, and I go through it and I sped this up even faster. So this is the other supplier, the other sub-recipient that is going through and doing their bids on both opportunities as well. Ultimately, you might have guessed already, we're going to award one to one of the suppliers and the other to the other. Okay. That was a super fast, high level overview of the subrecipients getting the invitation, logging into the portal, and entering their bid responses within the portal. So it's immediately available for evaluation within PeopleSoft and the employee portal. All right. So Jessica, I think you're going to talk about setting up those sub awards as projects and activities, correct?
Yeah, that's right, Randy. So before we finalize our subaward setup, we can make some additional changes on the post-awards setup side for our grant to decide how we want to manage these projects. So we could have just one project. We could decide to do it that way. Some people do it that way. Others may say, hey, I really want to have a separate project for each of these subrecipients. So, so I'm going to be over here, it's really kind of hitting in the grants, projects, and contracts modules where I'm going to determine what's the structure of how I want to manage this grant and subaward on the post-award side. So just as a reminder, lots of flexibility here for structuring and managing our award. One award could have multiple contract lines. Each of those contracts lined, if it's a rate base, could have multiple projects and activities. We could have one contract line billing based on a, time and materials on a rate based, or it could be an amount based contract line. So lots of flexibility here on how you want to manage your award. In this case, I show you the end result of how I decided to do it in this case, which is I'm going to have 3 projects, one for the work that we're doing internally, and then I'm going to have B and C for my subrecipient projects. So I'm going in and you can see I've structured my budget for my first project, including overhead. My second project, I have specific budget items for subawards. So that's very typical that you may have specific accounts for subawards under a certain amount and over a certain amount, so that indirect can be charged on a portion of it. And then, it looks like we're done already here. And then not for the amounts over a certain dollar amount. I just used the values in the system, which was 25K, but it's actually, I believe, higher than that now. So I've structured my award, and just a recap, we have my 3 projects on our funding inquiry page, really nice summary page. I can see all of these projects are associated to the same contract line, and I can see the budget that's broken down by each project. Okay, and that budget that's posted goes not only to project costing for reporting there, but you can track it in commitment control to real time see what is my available spending authority. So I'm at the very beginning here, just adding some budget for each of the projects, and then back to Randy for finalizing our subaward and creating our encumbrances.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's going to go fast again. I guess that's a common theme. Here's what's about to happen is now that Jessica has got the subaward project information set up, and our subrecipients have responded to each of the RFPs, we're going to be able to analyze their responses and award which subrecipient is going to get the contract, so that they can do the work that they'll be doing as a subrecipient. I'm gonna tell you who wins. Okay, so in the first award, which I think is the time and material award, the vendor is going to be East Bay, and they've got their proposal that is going to be accepted. We're going to turn that. We're going to when we award the contract. And again, I've said this once, I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably say it one more time during the video. We're going to award it to a procurement contract. I can't emphasize that enough. It's the procurement contract that connects everything in the procure to pay side. Okay, we're gonna award it to that procurement contract. Once we do that, the procurement contract and its information, all the details that came from the RFP are going to be there for us, and we're going to be able to go in and code it with those subaward projects that Jessica set up in the previous step. Once that's done, we can go through the legal document process, get that finalized. When we have an agreement where both parties have signed, we can turn that contract now into a purchase order. My account coding's already there. And so once that goes out, our vouchers can get created through self-service invoice. Those are all the steps that we're going to go through next. So we're going to award it. We're going to do a legal document. We're going to go through purchasing. We're going to acknowledge the PO, and then we're going to do a payment request. Woo, that's a lot. Let's go. All right. So I'm in the employee portal. I am fumbling around my mouse looking for my navigation. I'm going to analyze events. Okay. I'm just going to do the one. You're going to understand this is the same step that we went through for the other one as well. Okay. Both bidders, here's the responses. The scores are there. I can evaluate. I can drill into their individual specific responses. In this case, I already know East Bay's winning this one. I'm going to give them 100%, and I'm going to save it. Okay. Now, you can't see the drop down, but I'm going to the award page. This is the award page where I say procurement contracts. Got to be a procurement contract. What style? Purchase order. We want to create a purchase order, but it's got to go through a procurement contract. As soon as I post it, I have a procurement contract. It actually creates it for me with all the details that came from the RFP, their response, and all the detail lines that we're expecting for the services, the rate that we agreed to. And now, because Jessica set up the proper coding for me, I've got a project costing business unit, a project, and an activity that I can code to every line on this procurement contract, so that when the purchase order is generated, it's already there. So that when the voucher is created against that PO, it's already there. And we'll be able to track all of the transactions from the subrecipient, just like you were doing any kind of purchasing and an AP event in any other step of supplying that work on the grant. Okay, so I repeated it on both lines. Maybe I could have saved some time by creating a speed chart or something, and I could have just inserted it. But I want you to see that we do that for both lines. We're good, and at that point, we're done with what we need to do on this one. What's going to happen next is we're going to flip from the procurement contract to the legal document. Okay, procurement contract is going to stay in an open status for us until we get the legal document redlined, agreed, all changes cleared and signed. Okay, so we can do that. We can start that from the procurement contract. Again, you got to have a procurement contract. Have I said that enough? Do you believe me? I'm going to hit add a document. That's a button that's available when you have the supplier contract management on in your system. It's with the supplier that was awarded. We've got information that we need. Now we're going to create a legal document. So we click add a document, and here there's a lot of setup. You're going to need to know what the document type is and what the configurator ID is. These are things that are going to drive the questionnaire and all of the bind variables that get grabbed from our various sources and inserted into the language of the contract. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to hit create document, and that's going to launch my questionnaire wizard. These questions can be very, very dynamic. They can become language in the contract. They can spawn additional questions. The answer might actually drive pulling in one contract versus another from your clause library. Okay, so very, very dynamic. They can branch. And so as you ask questions, it could bring another question, or it could bring a whole new section. Here we're going to answer a question, and it's going to spawn another question. As you can see, it popped up a second question that was only asked because of the answer in the previous. Now we move on. If I would have said yes to this, I said no, but if I would have said yes, it would have said, how many years is the extension? So another branching type of question. No other details that I need. I hit finish. Once I hit finish, in the background, Microsoft Word is called, and your clause libraries and your templates are all being pulled in, and they're creating literally a Microsoft Word XML document. I've got the little view document button there. In my next video, I'll show you what that looks like. So next, I think it's the next page, Jessica. Yep, Here we are. We're going to click view document. There it is. This all came from data that we captured either on the procurement contract or in the questionnaire. We've got the amount for the contract. We've got who the contract is with. We're all set. At this point, I'm going to say, I want my subrecipient to participate in the collaboration process. In other words, I want them to see this document. I want them to give me their red line changes if they have any. And we're going to let them do that through the supplier portal. I clicked required to sign and then clicked off, because if you've got integration with the signatures, I'll talk about that in a minute, you'd want that clicked on. I'm routing this to our third party. They're out there. And now documents locked, and it's pending external collaboration, which means we're expecting our subrecipient to go into the portal, review, and give us any changes they think they need. without having to send this back and forth in email. So that's what's going to happen next. Now I've got the supplier or the subrecipient who's logging in to the portal, and they should, is it playing? Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Jessica. I should have counted. You did such a better job than me in doing this. I'm ultimately one day going to go to the secure homepage. I'm going to go in, and first thing I'm going to do is I want to see what got awarded. What got awarded and what didn't get awarded. Those are the two responses. One got awarded, one didn't. Oh, shoot. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to see I've got documents that I'm being asked to review. I'm a little behind. I've got 5, but the latest, this new one, is the document I want to take a look at now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it, I'm going to review it, and I'm going to look at the same document that we just saw in the employee portal. I'm in the supplier portal. And if I wanted to, I could literally make Microsoft Word, track changes, edits here, redline, and I could reattach it and say, hey, I think this language needs to change. That's collaboration. That's redlining. As I go through this, I take the easy way out. I'm looking at everything and I'm thinking, you know what? I kind of like it. I don't have any changes. So I can say that. I can do dialogue back and forth by just typing comments. I reviewed everything and it looks great. I'll hit the save comments button, and then I could keep inserting more comments if I wanted to. Okay. This is how I have a communication with you, with those who have the award. And at this point, I'm going to say, nope, I'm done. I'm marking it as reviewed, which means it's back in your court over on the grantee side. I only have 4 documents left. I've done my job. I've reviewed. We're good. All right. A lot going on there. So we don't in our demo have either DocuSign or Adobe Sign turned on. There's lots of steps that go into it, but I can't tell you how useful it is to have this integration. If you happen to have an enterprise account with either DocuSign or Adobe Sign, already built in fully functional integrations for you. A bunch of steps. The section on the right is literally the steps in PeopleBooks. The thing on the left is sort of my notes for you on what you need to do to get the signature process working and the stages that it takes. Essentially, in your document, you're going to have a section that has the signature section. It's going to be mapped to whatever the syntax is for, I think DocuSign is like signature 1 is /S1 /. You can see that embedded in the document. Once you have that, there's a button that you click that says prepare for electronic signature. I'd click it. PeopleSoft converts that Microsoft XML document into a signable Adobe document, either DocuSign or Adobe Sign. It creates a signable Adobe. You can't make changes to it. You can only now start the signature process, and it tracks every step along the way. Once you say, boom, send it for signature, there's like 8 service operations that you turn on that track what's going on. So I can literally see when the subrecipient has received the envelope and opened the envelope and reviewed the document and signed it. And I can see every signature that's in the process and when it's completed, including our own. And then finally, when you get all signatures in place, that's when you're able to move forward with fully executing this document, dispatching and fully executing. Okay. We don't have any video on that, but it's a fantastic. We do have some video from trainings that we've done for customers where we implemented this. If you're ever interested, we can have a separate dialogue with you and show you that, but we don't have it for this one. What we do have is, let's pretend that happened. So all the signatures, once all the signatures are complete, you can have a separate approval step, or in our case, we just auto approve when the signatures are there. All I need to do now is dispatch that legal document. I'm going to do it manually And I think you should if you're using Adobe Sign or DocuSign, because they're going to get a copy when the final signatures happen. And at this point, it's dispatched. I have now a chance to say it's executed. As soon as I do that, the only thing I can really do going forward is create amendments, right? Once I have a fully signed, executed document, the only thing I should be able to do is create amendments that kind of starts that whole process over. Okay, so now I'm going back to the procurement contract. I'm saying, hey, signature on the contract is good. So I can go ahead and flag this approved. And I apologize, I don't show the next step, which is, all right, once that happens, we're going to release this to an actual purchase order. That step didn't get recorded. All right, so a purchase order got created, I promise. There's also a step I forgot to record where our subrecipient received that purchase order and they went into the supplier portal and they actually clicked the acknowledge button. In other words, they acknowledged that they received the PO, they have no changes, they're good to go. Both of those things, sadly, didn't get recorded when I when I thought they were. So we're going to leap to, we've got a purchase order that's out there. And when we take a look at it, you're going to see this purchase order ties directly to the procurement contract that was created in the last step. And it's going to, let's see, grab it. Yep. That one already dispatched. It's already valid. And it's already been acknowledged by the supplier. Those are the steps that I didn't have in the recording. So we've got a PO that's out there. That's good for everyone, including the supplier, the subrecipient, because this is the thing that they need to be able to do their self-service payment requests. Okay. This particular one was the 4 milestone steps that you'll see here in a bit. Okay.
Okay, and I just, in order to be complete, just wanted to highlight the fact that, you know, we've had this ability in grants for a long time to identify our subrecipients, both on the proposal side, if you know that in advance, and on the award. So you can see here on the award side, I can link in not only my subrecipient, but associated POs. So you can see both for both projects on the award profile. Visually, you can see it nicely. You could also enter the subrecipient budget if you wanted to on the award profile. Now that that PO is out there and has been budget checked, I can see that the encumbrance has been booked to my project, and it's not on the screenshot, but if I scrolled over, I could see it's updating my remaining spending authority. And if I have security, I can even drill down to see the purchase order that makes up those encumbrances, and I could drill into that PO if I had security, as you see in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, that's in commitment control. Here's my other project showing the encumbrance amount, and I'm passing it back to Randy for the allowing the supplier to do the work and invoice.
Got a few left. Thank you, Jessica. So we're ready. We've got a PO. We've got a contract. It's signed. We can start doing the work. I've started doing the work, and now I'm submitting a self-service invoice, sometimes called payment request. This is a module called e-settlements in PeopleSoft. Need to have e-supplier connection, a supplier portal, and then we can use e-settlements for our suppliers to be able to log in and create self-service invoice requests. Is it playing?
I just started it.
All right, Jay Scott, hit sign in, please. Yeah, there you go. Good. All right, signs into the public page. We're going to go to the secure page, and we're going to go into invoices and payments. We're going to say self-service invoice. And hey, let's create a new one. Something that I should have done, everyone should do, I should have put an attachment on there. I should have had a picture of the actual the invoice. I didn't, so I'm embarrassed. I'm grabbing the PO line. I had already tested earlier one of them, so I only have 3 milestones left. This one, the $24,000 milestone, is what I'm billing for this time, and it looks good. I can go here. If I have tax or shipping or any other miscellaneous, I could add them. I don't, so I'm just ready to submit. And I think I get a couple of dire warnings. Off you go. Now I've got one, and it says creating a voucher, which means over in the employee portal, we're ready to review it. And if we agree, we're going to pass it on. I think I log on as the other supplier as well, Jay Hayes. And Jay Hayes is going to go in, do the very, very similar one. Jay Hayes had already created this. So you see, I didn't hit the add, it's already there. And I want to show you that I submitted one. I can't make changes, but I've already submitted for 25 hours at the price that was agreed to, 250 hours on my time and materials. So I can go ahead and review that. Looks good. Still waiting for approval on the employee portal side. Once they do, this should flow through, and I should be able to take a look at the payment that I'll be getting here shortly. Okay. And now I log into the employee portal as Calvin Roth. By the way, all of these user IDs exist in your demo. So if you're ever interested, they certainly have some value there. So Calvin is going to go in and something how many mistakes have I made? In the e-settlements, we're going to take a look at it and we're going to review. Okay, he would have been notified that there are invoices out there that require his review. I don't know why I went into this one. I think I was hoping that it was not yet flagged for release or processing. I had already gone in and flagged these to release for processing because I wanted the voucher to go through payment. But what he would do in the recording that didn't happen, he would come and review it and click that release for processing button, which allows then my voucher to be selected when we, in the background, run the voucher build process. And the voucher build process oftentimes will also include matching, which actually did happen in the background for us. So those invoices that were submitted, when you run voucher build, one of the sources is e-settlements. You'd select that. You'd want to make sure that you have that step of internal review before it's allowed to be processed. Once it's allowed, it's going to run through and it's going to create a voucher, and that voucher is going to be linked to the purchase order and to the procurement contract. Okay. Is this one me? It probably is because it shows a log on screen. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in as Calvin. I'm going to look at the voucher that got created through voucher build, and yep, and I'm going to pay it. And I do this because I wanted to make sure that we could collect costs and have everything flow through on the project as expected. So I'm going to look for this voucher that got created, and it ran through matching and it passed matching. And I think it was just one of those that got created the day we ran it. There it is, the 24,000. We'll go ahead and take a look at that, and we can see it was matched. It came in auto approved in this case. You don't have to. We're all set. So if I look at the invoice information, I see the supplier, there's a proper supplier, got all the information. In fact, here's my contract information. Super important that it ties to that. There's the related purchase order that it ties to. This happened to be a milestone amount only, so we don't need a receiver. And so a two-way match was all we needed to get the matching. Our project is there, our activity is there, everything looks perfect. I'm set, so I'm going to go ahead and do an express payment on this so that the payment can be generated and posted and that cost collected. And quite boringly, we're going through the express pay cycle. Eventually, it gets selected and it ends as a payment that's complete. Quickly, you can see one of the payments was selected because I did it from the page. Now we're complete. A payment's done. we go back to the voucher if we wanted to, you could see that a payment reference is also associated with the voucher. And that, I believe, is my last word.
Awesome. Thanks, Randy. Yeah, so now that we have that voucher from our subrecipient budget checked and posted, we see in commitment control our our encumbrance being reduced and moving over to expenses for both of our projects. And we can collect that cost into project costing and have all that detailed information within project costing, and the ability to then create additional costs like indirect overhead and billing and revenue recognition. Okay, so we've collected that voucher into project costing. Here's just one page that you can have like a direct view into the main transactional table, project resource. It's called the transaction list. And at the very bottom, I see my ACT row coming in, which would then create a billable transactions because this is set up as rate-based. Oh, I also have a reduction. I can see my prior commitments out there, as well as a reduction, the CRV reduction of my commitments. Same thing over here, the view into commitment control for the second projects, and the costs being collected over into our project. Okay, and then, did I show my indirect being created? Oh no, I may have missed that screenshot. Sorry about that. I did run indirect overhead. It looks like I missed a screenshot, but now on a nightly basis, if we wanted to, we could run our as incurred revenue, and then eventually we're going to show the invoicing process. So once again, the contracts module is responsible for that billing and revenue recognition, loading those invoices over to billing. So here, right after those costs came in, I did in fact go ahead and run as incurred revenue. Those journal entries are then sent over into the GL, so debiting unbilled AR, crediting revenue, and I can generate my invoicing. So my contract is active, and my billing plan here, I set to utilize a invoice form, which is XML Publisher. Those allow you some really nice features to either email the invoice as an attachment or to store that PDF directly on the invoice in billing, so I can quickly bring up my PDF. So I've run my billing, which, is based on your bill cycles. If you want to run it monthly after the month is closed, or for drawdown, sometimes it's run more regularly. I can create what's called a temporary invoice, where I can view the invoice before it's even finalized. And if I wanted to, I could even defer certain items from being invoiced, or I can delete it and start over. So here's an example where you see the billing options to defer certain items, very handy for as incurred billing to not hold up the process if there's any questions. Here's just an example of what the delivered grants invoice looks like. Here is another invoice format for the XML Publisher. So here I've finalized my invoice, and now I've sent it over to receivables. So I'm over in AR, and I can go into the collections workbench and really get a feel for what is outstanding for my customer. I can see my outstanding items. In this case, because I used an XML Publisher invoice, I can click and see that invoice attachments, which is the PDF. I can create conversations. I can view my aging. I can even see contract information. What's my balance? And then, of course, all of these entries are loaded over into the GL, and you can review in the ledger inquiry my balance for the period or life to date. Okay, so that's the resulting entries in the GL. You see my unbilled AR in this example has been cleared because I billed everything, and I can see my indirect and my revenue. And look at that, man, I think we have 1 minute left.
1
This is
minute.
amazing. As a reminder, please attend our Q&A session next week, where we will have more time to go over any of your questions. But we do really, really appreciate you guys jumping on the webinar today. We know this is a lot of information, but hopefully you've learned something today. And once again, happy to take your questions, happy to do any additional demos for you. Anything I missed, Randy?
No, you're perfect.
Awesome. Great. Well, I hope everybody has a fabulous holiday weekend, and yeah, look forward to hearing from everybody.
Bye now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Randy and Jessica, for presenting with us today. Everyone
Thanks for
have a
having
great
us.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.